Hello everyone, and welcome back to the R2-D2 channel. And guys, we're about to take a look at the Star Wars Black Series R2-D2 from the Mandalorian line. Taking a look at the front of the box, of course this is, based around the original style of the Galaxy Wave, but we don't really get a chance of reviewing many, astromech droids here on the channel, and R2-D2 was one of the final figures that I have in my collection of the Mandalorian lineup. So I went ahead and decided to review him today. But yeah, checking out the front of the box, you of course get the logo, the massive window with the figure and the accessories, the name of the lineup he's from, and his name on the bottom. And on the side, you get this amazing artwork. And in the back, you do get a much larger portrait of the character, a description, the number which falls into the lineup, and some warnings. Here's the side of the box, the bottom, and the top. But I'll go ahead and get them out, and we can go from there. Here he is. I'll go on plastic. And here he is out of the packaging. And taking a closer look at R2-D2, he looks just as good as he is in the films. Man, I kind of miss reviewing like some of the droid characters here on the channel. Might get back into that sooner or later. I guess we'll start at the head of the droid. Of course, is the iconic astromech droid that we come to know and love. And yeah, he looks really good. I know there's an older, older as in the wave that he's from, but honestly, it would be kind of cool to compare him later on with the orange line R2-D2, which we have done here on the channel. And I believe that's literally the only other R2-D2 figure that we reviewed ever here on the channel. But looking at this one, he's not that bad. I love the clean look to this version of R2-D2. You can definitely see the silver and white tones that go throughout the sort of like body, I guess. And then that blue color really stands out. Just a really awesome paint job. Of course, there is tons of different things to look at. Just from the overall amount of detail that they put into this guy. The head does swivel all the way around, so that is really cool to see right there. He has a little red button, the green little button right here. There is, I believe, some other things that come in and out, like these things like the panels, but we'll be sure to look at that in a bit. So take a closer look up here. I noticed that one of the panels, this one specifically, is a little bit more deeper. And when you open up the little hatch, right here, I believe, it was opening up a minute ago. There it is. When you open it up, there's a smaller peg to place one of the accessories on the top of his head. So that's really cool to see. But besides that, that's pretty much the only other function that he has. Checking out the main body of R2-D2 here, there is lots to go over. There is certain like little access hatches and things like that. So here it is, finally. Had to use a small tool to try and open up all these panels, but as you can see, he does have these two side sort of like door panels, and they each contain little pegs to place the accessories. I do remember these, I may be wrong, these parts being more functional in the older model, but they serve no purpose other than them just expanding outwards. There's no pegs, nothing to place tools in, but yeah, it just collapses like that, and it looks really nice. And then lastly, checking out the legs of the figure. R2-D2's legs are very cool. Of course, they look fantastic in figure form. I will say though, this one is a bit of a downgrade, surprisingly. So, since this is based around the Mandalorian timeline, this R2-D2 unit does not have the rocket jets that are on the original. So that is one thing to note for this one. But besides that, his legs do function really well. So as you can see, they are able to go all the way around. And then, of course, he does have the little feet to pose and, make him in the position of either standing up or whether he's rolling around. And there's a cool part. You can actually lower down the smaller leg and position it so that way he can properly stand, or if he's going to be, moving things like that in a certain pose, you can achieve it by pulling down the middle leg. And now moving on to the accessories. They're literal accessories. Included are 2 accessories that go on top of his head and 4 accessories that go inside those little door plates. So to access the accessories for the top of the head, obviously you're going to take off this little panel up here, and these accessories are really cool. So we have this one right here, which is the little like camera accessory that he uses when he's in the swampy waters of Dagobah. And the other one is the little radio signal or radar that he uses to try and track down Luke and Han at Hoth. And then lastly, going over the arm accessories or attachments, you just stick them in there with the little pegs. I'm not sure where this one is from. It looks almost like a blaster or something. I do not remember R2-D2 with this one, but the other ones I do kind of remember. This one, of course, is the one he uses to grab Yoda's stick on Dagobah. He does have like the original sort of like arm that he would use to sort of hack through the doors, things like that. And yeah, just like it shows, you can use the multiple pegs to place the other accessories like this. So there's tons of different ways to accessorize R2-D2 with these arms. But they're really cool. I like them a lot. And that is really cool for playability, which I will be talking about just in a sec when we do the overview. So, as a review of the figure, he's pretty good. Honestly, it is a decent remaster to the original R2-D2, and I kind of like it. It's pretty much everything that you'd expect out of, an R2-D2 figure. The playability is there for sure with the multiple accessories. The articulation is pretty good, and the detail is very stunning. Even without the rockets that were included with the original, it does make sense because, in the lore, the rockets have like no use later on during this timeline, so they were only used like during the Clone Wars era, basically. So I like how it's lore accurate to, this timeline of the R2-D2 unit, but overall, not a really big issue. Unfortunately, I do like to do the comparisons and things like that, but at the moment, I do have the orange line figure sort of like stored away. So I was not able to do a comparison at the moment, but as soon as I get, those figures out and about again, I will be sure to try and do that comparison with the original orange line R2-D2 and comparing it with the Mando R2-D2. And of course, you're going to have to get C-3PO to go alongside, his trusty best friend right here. Overall, I think it is a really awesome figure, and I'm going to be using him more in my New Hope collection rather than the Mando collection, just because he makes more sense being in the original trilogy sort of like collection. So I'm definitely going to be using him there in that shelf. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and follow me for more, and I'll catch you all on the next one.